Ever had that one person at the table who just makes your skin crawl? For me, sitting down for a family meal wasn't cozy or heartwarming. Nope. It was nerve-wracking. My dad's strange eating habits turned what should have been a nice family dinner into a tense ordeal. You might be wondering what could be so awful, right? Well, today I'll share some of the weirdest things narcissists often do while eating, and why they're not just quirks. These habits, while odd, reveal a lot about someone who craves control, dominance, and attention. Before we dive in, I want to clarify. Just because someone has an odd eating habit doesn't mean they're a narcissist. These are just some common signs I've noticed and might resonate with you too. If you're curious, hit subscribe and let's get into it. Habit 1. The animalistic eating style. Let's start with something that's really hard to ignore. When they eat like they're starving animals. It's not about a lack of table manners. Imagine someone chowing down loudly, almost like they're in a food eating contest, not caring about anyone else. They make all these annoying sounds, chomping away, and don't even bother to cover their mouths. I remember asking my dad once how his food tasted, and he just looked at me like I'd asked a crazy question. He said, "What do you mean? What does taste mean?" It's like the concept of actually enjoying food was lost on him. And don't even think about politely asking him to chew quietly or show a bit of respect to everyone else at the table. If I dared to, he'd snap back like I just insulted him. And then he'd say things like, "You're so sensitive," making me feel guilty for even bringing it up. Habit 2. The delergasm. Storytelling for attention. Brace yourself for a word I made up, delergasm. It's a mix of delusion and ego trip. So imagine this. While we're all supposed to be eating, my dad would suddenly go into storytelling mode. Every meal, he'd turn it into this one-man show about his heroic day. How he outsmarted someone at work, or saved the day, again. And the funny part? He'd get so into it, like he was his own biggest fan. His face would light up with pride and satisfaction, like he was the world's main character. As kids, we even believed him for a while, hanging on to every word like he was this larger-than-life figure. But looking back, I realize it was all for show, a way to keep everyone's attention firmly on him. Habit 3. The perfectionist's table rules. Some narcissists go to extremes with their need to control, and even dinner isn't safe. They don't just care about their own eating habits. They obsess over everyone else's too. My dad had these rules about everything. From how fast you chew to how you hold your fork. It was like he was the director of a movie, and we were just there to play along. Any mistake on our part was met with sharp criticism. It wasn't just about food. It was his way of keeping us all in line, making sure we knew who was in control. We weren't allowed to be ourselves, even during something as basic as eating a meal. Looking back, it's crazy how much power he took over something so simple. Habit 4. Food manipulation. Now here's a sneakier one, using food to mess with people's minds. This isn't your usual eat your veggies kind of thing. My dad would literally take food off our plates, then act like he was helping. Or he'd question my sister's choices, making her feel guilty just for eating. And then there were the times he'd try to force feed us. I remember one day, I just wasn't hungry, and I told him. Instead of respecting that, he got mad, like my lack of appetite was a personal insult. He wouldn't let it go, grabbing food and practically shoving it in my face until I finally threw up. But even then he didn't let up. He acted like it was my fault for not cooperating. It was just his way of showing dominance. Habit 5. The family bonding meal requirement. Last but not least, my dad had this rule about family dinners. Sounds nice in theory, right? But in reality, it was more about him enforcing control. We had to sit down and eat together, no matter how late he was or how exhausted we were. Skipping out wasn't an option. Missing a meal was seen as disrespecting the family. It was his way of ensuring he had his audience. People who were united, but really just trapped at the table. Even when I didn't want to be there, I was forced to sit and listen to his stories, to nod along with everyone else. Closing. So, have you ever experienced any of these odd eating habits in your life? Maybe you've got your own stories about strange behaviors at the dinner table. If so, share them below. You'd be surprised how many people might find comfort in knowing they're not alone. Thanks for sticking with me through this topic. It's not easy to talk about, but it's so important to be aware of these subtle signs of control. If you're on this journey of understanding and healing, know you're not alone. Until next time, take care and remember, you deserve peace, even at the dinner table.